Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lynne and Craig's English live stream. It's lovely to have you here. My name's Craig. If you don't know me, I'm from the website mansioningles.com, where you can learn English for free. We have also paid resources, especially if you're a Spanish speaker. You'll find products there to help you. And from the podcast, inglespodcast.com, that I do with a friend and ex-colleague. And that's a weekly podcast that you can find on Sunday, released every Sunday. And it's on anywhere you'll find it where you listen to your podcasts. And if you're interested in conversation, improve your speaking, go to englishcraig.com, where I'll be taking a break for the summer, but I'll be back in September with more English courses. So if you'd like to speak to me before the summer break here in August in the Northern Hemisphere, then get in touch with me and we can have a quick chat on Zoom and I'll give you information about those courses. And because we're here to help you improve your English, I'm very lucky to be joined, as usual, by my friend and ex-colleague Lynne from putitlikethis.com. Hi, Lynne.
You're full of charm and swagger today. Very good. You should be on the television, Craig. You're fantastic.
We are on the this is the new television,
This is
Lynne.
the new television,
This is the
yeah.
new TV. Oh, yes.
Okay, well, thank you for the introduction. So my name is Lynne, if you haven't seen us before. I'm an online teacher. Put It Like This is the name of my little business, and putitlikethis.com is my website. So I specialize in tailor making courses to help students find their own voice in English. So to learn to have the English that they need so that they can sound like themselves in the situations that they need English for. If you go to my website, you'll see some examples of different types of objectives that people have. And if you're interested, then you can contact me over the website and we can talk more and see what kind of course I can design for you to help you achieve your objectives. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, now if you...
Sorry, phone on silent. Sorry, that's what I'm doing here because I'd forgotten to silence my phone. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. So as I said, we are here to help you with your English. That's the aim of this live stream, to improve your English. And if you are watching live, if you're just joining us, please say hello. Write your name in the chat. I can see Hema there. Good to see you, Hema.
Oh, great, Hema. Hi, Hema.
Things are good with us. I hope things are okay where you are. And hello to Arturo, who also has said hello from Honduras.
Honduras, lovely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, what's the topic today?
Well, I'm sure that Hema knows this because she's been along all the time. But this year we've been doing a series on the 5 senses. So we're on the last sense now. Although actually there are many more senses. People talk about the 6th sense, but we've just been looking at the 5 senses. And the sense that we haven't done so far is smell. The sense of smell.
Wait a second. Just let me put some aftershave on here, just to get in the mood of smelling nice. I just want to say that I know some people who watch this may also listen to the podcast I do with Reza, and we have spoken about smell on that podcast. But and the vocabulary is very similar. However, if you have listened to the podcast, please stay with us and watch, because it's always a good idea to review vocabulary, to see the words again, practice them again. So it's all good for your English. So we hope you'll stay with us.
Yeah. Yes, I hope so.
Hi, Alejandro. Good to see you joining.
Hello. And I think also it's not easy, because the reason we started to do these podcasts about the 5 senses was that, first of all, sometimes it's difficult to describe these senses because these are not verbal things. These are senses that we have, and these are words to try to describe the way we're feeling. So that's one reason we're doing it. And the other reason that we're doing it is if for those students who are doing exams at higher levels, at C1 and C2, often you have to demonstrate a range of vocabulary. And they often, especially in the Cambridge C2 exam, it's a common question about the senses in one part of the oral, and they say, like, look at these pictures and talk to us about, or tell us about what kind of smells you might hear, or what kind of noises you might hear, or what kind of things you might see. And so this is where this vocabulary is necessary.
Exactly. And we do have some quite advanced vocabulary to share with you today. So if you see any words that are new to you, any expressions that you want to remember, make a note of them, record them, write them down somewhere, and practice them. And if you have any questions while we're speaking and presenting this vocabulary, then of course write your questions in the chat, and we will answer them the best we can. Hi, Victoria from Toledo. I hope it's
Hello.
not too hot in Toledo at the moment. It's
And I
very
can
hot in Spain.
And I can
at the
see,
moment.
thank you, Hima, for commenting on Craig's haircut, because I just came on this stream a minute earlier and I was thinking, Craig looks different. And I thought he'd had a tan because he'd been in the sun. But of course, you got your haircut. It's very nice, Craig.
I actually did get my hair cut because usually I cut it myself with the.
Do you?
Yeah, I bought one of
Yeah.
those razor things, in the electric razors in the pandemic, and I used to.
Okay.
Now I found a really cool, a really nice hairdresser where I live here, and he's really gangster. He's got like a hair dryer shaped as a gun, and he plays rap
really?
music, and I feel younger when I go and have my hair cut there. So
Well, you're looking younger. You're looking very nice,
Oh,
Craig.
thank you.
Thank you, Hima, because I couldn't pick. I was thinking, there's something different, but what is it?
thank you. You're
I'm
so
glad
sweet.
that Hima is very observant.
So sweet of you to notice, Gemma. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, let's get to it. Enough carrying on about haircuts. To smell
Smell.
is the thing with smelling is you can have two verbs to smell. You can have a transitive verb and an intransitive verb. What's the difference? Well, an intransitive verb doesn't have an object. So you don't have an object after the verb. You can say your dog smells. You wouldn't say smells your dog, because if you smell a dog, then you are smelling something. So the transitive verb is with an object after it. So, for example, here you could smell the fish as it was cooking. The object is the fish. So you're smelling something. Yeah. But if it's the intransitive, then you just say it smells.
So it's not you're doing the smelling, aren't you? In both cases, really. Is that right?
Yes. But in one case, there's an object that you're
There's an
actually
object
smelling.
that you're actually smelling.
Excuse me. So yeah, that's the difference. So you can say you smell nice, you smell lovely, but if you're smelling bread, or you're smelling aftershave, or you're smelling the food, then that's the object. That's the thing you're smelling.
And I think I'm not sure in Spanish, but in some languages, in Spanish, is it that they use it as a reflexive? Do they say se huele, and then they say huele? Because I think
Huele
in other
mal.
huele mal, or I'm not sure how they do that, but in different languages, it's tricky, this verb, and people do make mistakes with it, don't they? So so you can say, I love how that fresh bread smells, or you say, he could smell the fish as it was cooking. That's right. But the next point, I think, is also a one that we looked at. I'm not sure if you got it in order. I want to explain the difference between it smells of and it smells like.
Oh, let me find that for you.
Can you find that one? Because
it's here.
Yeah. So this is another tricky thing that you have to have. Now, we had the same thing when we looked at the sense of taste. If you watched that episode, we also talked about the difference between it tastes of or it tastes like. And these are different. They have different meanings. So when you say it smells of garlic, you are describing the smell, and it means that you can smell garlic, and the thing producing the smell is garlic, right? So it smells of garlic, which means like you must have put garlic in here because it smells of garlic. Uh-huh. But if you say it smells like, then you're making a comparison. So you say it smells like my grandmother's perfume, but it isn't my grandmother's perfume. But it
It's
smells similar to, it
similar
smells
to.
like. But when we say it smells of, you're pretty sure that whatever it smells of is the thing that it is.
And it's not a very common word, but olfactory is related to the sense of smell. So you can sometimes you hear the expression olfactory glands, which are it's the area of your nose that you use to smell things. So that's quite a formal word, but it
It's
is
a very
related
formal
to
word.
the sense of smell. What is more common is this, to sniff. So in order to smell, you need to sniff. You need to inhale through the nose and get the perfume or the odor. We'll look at these words in a minute. But to get the smell into your nose, then you sniff. And of course, you also sniff if you have a cold.
But you can also smell it. So I can say, oh, I can put I don't know, imagine it's, well, this used to be a box with a scented candle in it. So I can say, oh, have a smell. And you can say, that's lovely. Now, when we smell, we tend to inhale gently, let's say. That smells lovely. But when we sniff, it's like
Like a
a
dog.
dog. So you quickly inhale through the nose. So there is a difference in speed between the way we use the verb to smell and the way we use the verb to sniff. And what I just did there with my example is I actually made nouns from those. So I can say, Craig, have a smell. Have a smell of that. Or I can have a smell of that. If I put some
You can do
perfume
that
on.
with all of the senses, can't you? You can say have a listen, have a taste. Yeah.
Exactly. So I can make a noun of it, or I can say have a sniff, which just means a very quick one.
Have a sniff. Have a quick sniff.
Have a look.
So
We also have a look, don't we? Have a taste, have a smell.
yeah, exactly. So we've divided our smells into pleasant and unpleasant smells. So let's get into some juicy advanced vocabulary. But first, we'd like to know what smells you know. So what unpleasant smells can you think of? Or what words can you think of to describe an unpleasant smell? Have a think for a minute and write words in the chat.
And write them in the chat.
And then we will show you ours. So unpleasant smells. What smells do you think are unpleasant when you think of unpleasant smells?
Me? You're asking
Lynne,
me now?
yeah.
I have, I think, two really unpleasant smells.
Go on then.
One is blocked sinks. So sinks and drains that get blocked. And sometimes the U-tube in our kitchen sink gets blocked.
The U-bend.
The U-bend. And before I was married and I lived alone, when that used to happen, it was my job to empty that. And I always remember getting the bucket and then unscrewing it and then it emptying. And the smell from that blocked U thing, it used to make me gag. Can you put that in the in the chat, Craig? Because it used to make me gag. And when something makes you gag, it means it really gives you a physical reaction and you think you want to be sick. And that smell of the drains really makes me gag. I just want to vomit because it's horrible.
I agree.
That
I think
smell.
that's worse than Gemma's suggestion. She says dogs when they get wet.
Oh yeah, they smell horrible too,
Wet
Hemmer. I
dogs.
agree.
That's
I
very
agree.
imaginative. Yeah.
That's true. But that sink, I'm very lucky now though, because my husband, it's a very sort of division of labour. But when the sink blocks now,
That's
he's the
his
one.
job.
That's his
That's
job.
his job. Yeah.
But I found that really unpleasant when he wasn't around.
Alejandro
Oh,
says
Alejandro
public.
says public toilets.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's not the worst.
It
For
depends in
me,
which country.
yeah, that's true. But my second one is actually farts. Of course, I think nobody likes the smell of farts, do they?
except your own.
Except your, well, you can't smell your own, can you? Usually.
I can.
And I remember when I was in Germany, there was, if you drank a lot of German alt beer in Dusseldorf, there was a dark beer that was called alt beer. And if you really drank a lot of alt beer, the smell of the farts the next day was very specific. So if you smelt it in the metro, you knew exactly what somebody had been drinking, and it had usually been alt beer. And it was a very smelly, smelly, horrible smell.
And
Yeah.
if you're not sure what farts are, those are the gases that come out of your bum. I'll put that in the chat as well,
Yeah,
just in
because we haven't
case
got
you
there.
don't know. Yeah, and
That's
Gemma's
it. That's
got
kind of
another
a
good
very
one.
farts it's not a very polite word. I mean, but people can use it. It's acceptable to use it now. But there is a more neutral and polite expression, which is to pass or break wind, to pass wind or to break wind,
Yeah.
which is a nicer way of saying it. But most people say farts. Everybody knows what fart is.
And it's
Yeah.
also a verb to fart.
Yes.
So Gemma had another good example here. Rotten eggs when they
Yeah,
go
that's
bad.
quite nasty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's nice. That's not nice either.
Okay,
Yeah, a
so
lot of foods have unpleasant smells. What about you, Craig? Which smells do you not like?
I've been trying to think. I can't. I agree with the ones you've mentioned and also Gemma's ideas, but I really can't think. I know some nice smells for later, but I can't think of particularly unpleasant. And I mean, I agree with public toilets because I've been in some horrible toilets that I had to hold my breath and hold my nose
Really?
because otherwise I would have been sick. So yeah, I've been in some
Yes.
very, very bad toilets. But let's look at some vocabulary connected to bad smells. We've got ways of describing bad smells. We've got smelly. So if something is smelly, that's negative. If you call a person smelly, you're smelly, as children sometimes do, then that's a negative thing. And you can say that something stinks, which means it has a bad smell. That's a verb and a noun, to stink and a stink. And to pong is very similar, but maybe a bit more informal, isn't it? To pong.
To pong, yes, I think it's quite informal, but yes, and both of those. I mean, we've kind of mixed them up there because we've got smelly as the adjective, but of course the adjective comes from the verb to smell, and then we've written the verbs to stink or to pong, but you can make adjectives from them simply by adding a y. So you can say something is stinky, something is pongy. Okay. And then the fourth word there, yeah, we weren't very consistent when we made this banner, were we?
My fault. Sorry.
No, it was mine also because I mean I didn't check that. But odor is a noun, all right, and an odor, something has a pleasant odor or an unpleasant odor, and odor is a synonym for a smell. Yeah.
Reek is a negative word for a really strong, unpleasant smell. You can say it reeks of drains or it reeks of rotten eggs. So to reek is very, very strong for describing a bad smell.
And it kind of conjures up in my mind the verb reek. It seems to be a very active verb, like I can imagine like in the cartoons where you see like a piece of cheese and you see like wiggly lines with the smell coming out of it, don't you? And that's what I think when somebody says something reeks or it's reeking, it's this idea of, I don't know, does it seem like that to you? It seems to me to be a
Yeah,
very active verb. It's not just a smell, it's a reeking.
it
Yeah.
reeks of old wet dogs. Obviously, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
really
yeah.
reeks. It's a strong and pleasant.
Or like
Oh,
any kind of foodstuffs, like here, like you said, like out of date milk or cheese. It's the idea that the smell is constant and it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I think that's the idea with reek.
and with food that's out of date and is bad, you can say it goes bad. You can also say it goes off. So to go
Uh-huh.
off means that it is bad and it probably smells.
So
You,
if something is off, it means it's not fresh anymore. It's
it's
not
not
good
good.
to be consumed. Uh-huh.
So you can say that something goes off, or you can say, oh, that the milk's gone off, or you can say that it is off. So
Off.
you can use off with as a phrasal verb with to be. So to be off means that it's bad. It's not good to eat.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's move to some more then. To oh, I've lost my place here. So other
We've got some,
here we are.
yeah.
Acrid
Oh, that's
and
quite a formal word,
strong.
isn't it? Acrid. And acrid's often used with an acrid smell. I think the idea is that something catches in your throat and the smell actually starts to burn your throat a little bit.
Like
So an
tear gas.
acrid smell is often used to describe smoke, for example, or tear gas, or any kind of strong chemical that actually also irritates your throat. I think that is acrid. Would you say that?
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
description. Exactly.
Yeah.
Pungent is another way to describe a bad and negative smell. So it's sharp and intense. It can also be positive. So you can have pungent spices if they have a very strong smell, or negative. For example, sweat. A very sweaty person. There's Lynn's advice there to just add the Y to make the adjective a sweaty person who has a lot of sweat. Then you could say that
It can be a
it's a pungent
pungent.
smell.
Yeah. And then we have this word rancid, which is only used for foodstuffs, isn't it? And
It's mainly fats and
it's
oils,
mainly
butter.
fats and oils. So smell of spoiled food, like anything that's fats or any oil that's really off. Do we use rancid for milk? I think so. I think you
No,
can use it.
sour,
Sour or
sour
off.
milk.
Yeah. But yeah, so rancid more for fats and oils, isn't it?
Also
When
for
it's really not
fatty meat, I think. If you have meat that's
rancid.
gone
Yes.
off, you'd say it's
Yes.
rancid.
Yes. But it's definitely spoiled and badly spoiled when it's rancid.
Definitely gone off. Yeah. Another very strong adjective for describing smells is putrid, which is rotten
Putrid.
and foul smelling, very bad smelling. The kind of smell that knocks you back because it overpowers your senses, your sense of smell.
Yeah.
It's an overpowering smell.
And
So
that's
what
usually
things would be
putrid is often
putrid?
for dead things, I think, isn't it?
Dead
So, for
animals.
example, dead animals, probably dead human beings, but fortunately, I've never had to smell a dead human being. But I'm sure that, anything that is really breaking down, it's decomposition, I think, isn't it? Decomposition
That's a
of
smell that that's a really good example of a smell that I really find offensive to my senses. When you walk past in the street a rubbish bin or something, and maybe there's a dead
yes,
cat or a dead mouse in there, and that putrid smell of rotting flesh from the animal
yes,
is really strong, and that's a smell I hate.
Yes, of
a dead
course, and
animal.
it's very overpowering. And the pronunciation of putrid is tricky because remember that you have to. It's not putrid, it's putrid. So we start with the P, and then that U is the same pronunciation as not he or she or I, but you. So it's putrid, putrid.
Let's
Yeah.
have a question to get people writing in the chat. If you're watching, let us know what you think. We'd like to know a special smell that brings back a vivid memory for you. When you smell it, it immediately takes you back to something that happened in the past, a time in your life. It could be a nice experience or a nice smell, and it could be a really, really bad smell that triggers a memory. We can use the word trigger, which means it forces you to have that memory, to trigger something that happened to you. Speaking of putrid flesh and rotten, rancid animals. I was lucky enough to go to India last year with my wife who wanted to take photographs of animals. And there's this place where they take, when cows die, and cows are very holy in India, so they don't kill them. When they die of old age, they take them to this big place in this national park and they let the vultures feed on the animals.
Oh,
And it's a place that's full of vultures and it's also full of wild dogs eating the
oh,
animals. And the smell, I mean, it was beautiful for her because she had some fantastic pictures of these huge vultures flying and circling, and she loved it. But the smell was overpowering. It was a rancid, putrid smell of rotting flesh. Not very
yeah, I
nice.
bet. Yeah. No, I don't think I would like that that smell. I mean, I've been in Africa before and I have seen dead animals and being eaten by things, but I think in Africa, maybe because of the heat, the decomposition seems to go very quickly.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they don't seem to be smelling all the time, like really it seems to be quite diffused, really. So
Is there
I
a
can't recall smelling it really badly in Africa. I really can't. No.
is there a smell that takes you back to maybe your childhood? A powerful smell?
Um, Not maybe to my childhood, but I can remember I have a perfume that I love to wear, which is quite an old fashioned perfume now. It's Eternity by Calvin Klein. And I remember it, and this is many years, well, about 40 years ago, probably, or 35 years ago. I remember that I was living in Germany and I bought a magazine to read because I was going away for a camping weekend. And so I went to the station and it was before internet and all of that. So you went in and I thought, I'm going to treat myself to an English magazine. And I bought this magazine and it was a fashion magazine. It was Vogue. And I thought it was the British version. And when I had to pay for it, it was super expensive. And I remember like having a heart attack at the cash desk because it wasn't the British Vogue. It was actually the American one, which was twice the price. But anyway, I paid and I bought the American Vogue and I took it on my camping holiday. And I remember sitting sunbathing and looking through this American Vogue. And it was the first time, because it must have been in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And in the magazine, they had like it was completely new. They had a page where part of it was folded. And when you unfolded the page, you smelt the
The
perfume.
perfume. Yeah.
And nowadays that's very common, but in those days it was like completely new. And I remember opening it and getting this smell, this whiff. We didn't write whiff. Can you put whiff in the chat? The whiff. I got this whiff of this Eternity perfume, and it was a beautiful smell. I really liked the smell of Eternity perfume, and it was completely new. It wasn't in Europe. And the thing was, because this paper was unfolded, in my bag, everything started to smell of Eternity perfume because I was carrying this magazine around.
And the smell never goes away. It carries on
And the smell
in
never went
to it
away.
to eternity.
Went to eternity. Well, it did then. It doesn't now. It used to last a lot longer, I tell you. They changed the formula. But
Yeah.
but I loved it so much, and you couldn't buy it in Europe, and I could not think of the smell. It just like really triggered me. And so
Yeah.
I actually got in touch with a friend of mine in America, and she bought it and she sent it to me. So I bought that perfume a long time before it came to Europe. And then when it came to Europe, I started to wear it, and I still wear it today. But now I can't smell it on me anymore.
Why not?
I don't know. I
You
can
become immune.
I've become immune to it because I've never changed my perfume. I've worn the same perfume for the last 35 years. So maybe other people can smell it on me, but I can't smell it on myself
Oh,
anymore.
that's
I
interesting.
can smell it on my clothes, but not on
Uh-huh.
my body. Not on my body.
We've got some interesting comments coming in from Gemma. A smell that reminds her of her father is cologne, the aftershave that he wore.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I think
I
if
can
I,
remember the smell of my father too, Hima. His soap. He used to wear Lifebuoy. He used to use Lifebuoy soap. Did you know that, Craig, in England?
yeah, Lifebuoy, it
This
was famous. Yeah,
It was a very famous soap, and my
soap.
father always used that soap to shave, to wash, and I remember his smell of the soap. Yeah.
Marcello says when he visited Galicia in the north of Spain, he smelt dung everywhere.
Oh, good word,
Dung
Marcelo. Dung
is the excrement or the shit from the animal.
from
Yeah,
the animals. Yeah, that's unpleasant.
not very nice.
Now,
And
Alejandra loves her cat. She says, oh, he says,
he,
Alejandro, I beg your pardon. I thought I misread. Sorry, Alejandro, you smelling my cat is the nicest smell of the day. I don't know how she does it, but she always smells so well.
nice.
Wow. That's amazing. I don't
Yeah,
have a cat, but I wouldn't have imagined that an animal would smell really nice. But it does, yeah?
dogs smell nice, or not when they're wet, but
Do they smell
when,
nice?
well, it depends on the dog. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
I love the smell of my dog when I had a dog.
Really?
It depends on how clean the animal is, and
Uh-huh.
also its age. I think they smell more. Get
Uh-huh.
more smelly when they're older.
And cats are very clean animals, aren't they? Because
Yeah,
they're
they're
always
constantly
grooming
washing
themselves and
and washing
washing.
themselves.
Yeah.
When my wife puts some nice perfume on her body, and it blows my mind away. Wow,
Oh,
nice English.
very nice English, Alejandro. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Hammer says that she likes citrus smells, lemon and orange and prettichor. What's
Pretty sure.
that?
I don't know what that is, Emma. No.
The
This is the
characteristic smell when
characteristic smell
rain
when
falls on dry
Oh.
earth.
And that's what it's
Yes.
called, is it? Pretty sure. I didn't know that. Yeah, that is a lovely smell actually when it rains. Raining
Also,
is
cut
nice.
grass. When grass has been
Oh,
cut,
yes,
I
that's a
love that
nice
smell.
smell. Yeah.
One of my
Yeah,
favorite
that's a
smells.
sweet smell, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
a really nice and sweet smell.
Takes me back to my childhood.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I also used to like the smell. I love the smell of tomatoes. But then there was a period of about 15 years where the smell of tomatoes disappeared altogether. But now they're bringing back the smell of tomatoes. They have new crosses and they smell like they used to when I was young.
they're
So
probably
I like the
spraying
smell.
something on them that's got the smell of tomatoes or
Maybe I
something.
don't know. They certainly don't taste like the way they did when I
No,
was young. But
they don't.
yeah. Okay. Hema says
So,
that word preticore is Spanish. I'll have a look, Craig, while you're
okay.
working, and I'll see if I can find
So
out what that is.
speaking of nice smells like cut grass and perfume and cologne, let's look at some advanced vocabulary for describing nice smells. But before, write some nice smells in the chat. We've already had one or two from you. We've mentioned cologne, cut grass, cats. Can you think of any other nice smells that occur to you?
Okay. And in the meantime, I have found the word petrichor.
What is
It's
it?
pronounced petrichor in English too. I can't put it in the chat, so I'll spell it for you, Craig. It's sorry, it's PET. Close. Sorry, Petrichor. I think that's the way that Hema
Hemis.
spelt it in Spanish.
Yeah.
And it's pronounced petrichor in English. And it says the smell produced when rain falls on dry ground, usually experienced as being pleasant. Interesting.
Very interesting. Thank you for teaching
Yeah.
us a
Yeah.
new
Thank
word.
you. Thank you, Hema. You've taught us a new word.
I'm just going to put that definition in the chat as well.
Uh-huh.
Petrichor. I did not know that.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Petrichor.
so rain in the countryside, says Alejandro. Yeah, that's definitely a lovely smell. Oh yes, it's the smell of a new book. I love opening
Oh,
new books and smelling the pages, the print, the
uh-huh.
ink in a new book.
Yes. Uh-huh. Oh, and Michaela has said the smell of just cut wood, maybe better than just, is freshly cut wood. The smell of freshly cut wood. Yes, that is a nice smell. I like that wood chopping. That is a lovely smell. Oh, you're being very creative. Come on, smell some more. What about the smell of new cars? Do you like
Yes,
the smell of new cars? I think I do.
I
I like the smell
love
of new furniture and new cars
new
and
leather.
new leather. Oh, that's a nice smell. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, I like the smell of leather, actually. I have a lot of leather and I like the smell of leather.
And when
It's
you do
not.
washing and you wash sheets and clothes and you put them in the sun to dry and you bring them in and you've got that fresh smell of the detergent, the washing liquid,
Yeah.
together with the sun, and it just smells so fresh.
That's true. And I also love, Ali says he loves the smell of coffee. That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. Do you know what I love? I mean, obviously, fresh coffee when it's being ground has a fantastic smell. But when I was a little girl in England, people used to drink instant coffee. They don't now. They drink proper coffee now. But when I was a little girl, you only ever had Nescafe instant coffee. And the jars always used to come with a golden seal on the top to keep it fresh. And my mum used to let me, like, because we loved the smell when it was freshly opened, the smell was overpowering of the Nescafe. So me and my sister, we used to fight about who could pop the seal on the
Coffee.
Nescafe jar. And do you know, I'm still a child because my husband drinks Nescafe in the mornings. He drinks real coffee at lunchtime, but in the mornings he drinks Nescafe, and he knows that that's my favorite thing. And bless him, he always keeps the jar so that I can pop it and smell it. So it's true that, some smells, we do have little rituals attached to them.
This might sound strange, but I really like the smell of petrol.
Do you?
Yeah. When I fill up the car, I usually put my nose to the place where the petrol
Really?
goes in the petrol tank and smell it.
I think
Yeah, I
that's
love
quite
the smell.
dangerous, though, isn't it?
Well,
Isn't
I'm
that
not. I'm not.
dangerous?
I'm not sitting there like for hours
Sniffing
inhaling the
it.
Just
Uh-huh.
a quick sniff. And I
Yeah.
just like the. I don't know why. I've always liked the smell of petrol.
I'll tell you what I love the smell of is actually matches. When you light a match and when that sulfur smells on the matches, I just love it. That initial. Do you like that smell or not? Or do you not like that smell? I
Not
could.
matches, but I like the
Oh,
smell
I
of
could.
a newly lit cigarette. Just the first smell of when you first light a cigarette.
Really?
Not the smoke when people are
No.
smoking, but the first burn of the cigarette. And maybe it
Ah.
reminds me of smoking. I don't know.
Yeah.
When I used
No,
to
I
smoke.
really love the smell of matches. I could be sitting striking matches. I mean, you don't get matches now because everybody has lighters, but
Yeah.
I love the smell of those matches.
So we got some lovely ideas coming in as well. Juan said the smell of grass when it's just been cut.
Cut.
Cut, that should be.
CUT.
And the smell of wood from
Wood.
Victoria. Michaela, old books is inebriating to me.
Oh, now
Yes.
inebriating is a beautiful word for everybody, isn't it? Thanks, Michaela, for adding that one. When you are inebriated, it's almost like you're drunk on the smell, isn't it?
On the smell.
That you think the smell is so
So we've
marvelous.
got new books, old books, books in general, maybe.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree with. I love is one of my. We've spoken about this, haven't we? When we spoke about stationery, and I said it was one of my fetishes to
Uh-huh.
walk around stationery shops and look at pens and just the smell of the shop. I know
Yes.
exactly what you mean, Marcelo. I know exactly where you're coming
Yeah,
from with
I
that. Yeah.
agree. When I was honestly, when I was growing up, when I used to go to the shops, you know, when you were allowed to go into town with your friends without your parents, we used to spend every Saturday inside stationery shops. I just couldn't get enough of it, just looking at all the different things you could have,
Yeah.
the pens and the papers and everything. Hmm.
And Javi, hello, Javi. Good to see you here. The smell of
Hmm.
passing a bakery of
Oh
fresh
yeah.
bread. Yeah.
Especially a French bakery, and you get the smell of that pan au chocolat, which is lovely, that lovely sweet smell of croissants and butter. And oh, that's a lovely smell. I like that one.
So let's look at some vocabulary connected to lovely smells. We've got aroma. You can use that to describe a nice smell. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee, for
Hmm.
example. Fragrance is often used when you're describing a cologne or a perfume or an aftershave, for
Hmm.
example. And from aroma, we get the adjectives, well, the adjective aromatic,
Hmm.
aromatic herbs, for example.
Hmm.
And fragrant is the adjective of fragrant. So it's a
Hmm.
fragrant smell coming from the bakery.
Hmm. And also, fragrant is often for flowers. When you smell flowers and you say, "Oh, they smell fragrant." Uh-huh. Aromatic is maybe more. We don't really use that for flowers, do we? But we use it for like things like candles and
Cooking,
scents and
herbs,
cooking and food. Uh-huh. Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
a pleasant
Oh, yeah.
smell,
Ah.
bouquet.
Mhm. Bouquet. Now that's often used for wine, isn't it? When they do the wine tasting and they smell, they don't talk about the smell of the wine, they talk about the bouquet of the wine. That must come from French, obviously,
Yeah.
borrowed.
And musky,
Musky. Now I like
musky.
musk. I love the smell of musk. Musky. Rich, warm scent. Scent is it's a scent is a very light smell, isn't it? It's not like the smells like rancid or pungent. If you have a scent, it's just sort of I don't
Soft
know how,
smell.
a soft smell. If you can, we can't really use the word adjective soft for smell, can you? But it's a very light smell. It's not a heavy smell.
Because you get
So they often talk.
scented
Mhm.
candles that have got a very
You can
soft
soft
perfume. And
smell, soft perfume in the background. Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
quite hard to describe smells if you think about it. It's not easy.
It is. It's not easy. No, it's
You can
definitely
have a
not.
fresh smell. A perfume can be described as having a fresh smell. Flowers as well. I think pleasant,
Hmm.
uplifting smell.
Hmm.
If you smell something and it improves your general mood, you can say it's uplifting, makes you feel
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
And a smell can be sweet. You can have a sweet smell. For example, if you think of sweets, chocolates, desserts, foods, and soft drinks that are sugary,
Hmm.
that have a lot of sugar, you can describe the smell of those things as being sweet.
There's a bit of overlap, isn't there, between the vocabulary on smells and the vocabulary of taste as well? Because some of the words that we've been using, like rancid or off, you can use those for taste as well. It tastes off, it tastes rancid. Uh-huh.
Yes.
It tastes sweet. So there is definitely an overlap because I think the two senses are very closely connected, aren't they, between smell and taste? Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, I like the next one, heady. So spicy is an interesting smell of spices, like maybe curry or chili or and heady. Heady is nice. It's a little bit links into what Marcelo said with the inebriating, because when something smells really strongly in a positive way, the idea is that it reaches your head and you feel somehow light and inebriated, really,
Yeah,
like an inebriating
exactly.
smell. But we can just say heady. It's a heady smell. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, excellent. Well done. So
Okay.
let's look at some idioms now connected to our sense of smell. You
Yeah.
can say that something stinks,
Uh-huh.
literally, especially if it goes off, like milk or fish. that's been in the sun for a couple of days. Oh, it stinks. But you can use it as an idiom when you're speaking about something that's suspicious or maybe dishonest. So, for example, the politician has suddenly bought himself a brand new Mercedes and a new villa in the south of France, but his salary is not very high. So something stinks. There's something there that doesn't meet the eye. There's something suspicious. It stinks.
And that's quite nice, isn't it? I think it's because often we use our sense of smell to warn us of dangers, don't we? So we use the smell, like with food, you usually, if you're not sure whether the milk is good or not, we usually smell it, don't we?
Yeah.
And when you say something stinks, then that's the warning, isn't it? It's a kind of warning that something's not quite right.
Okay, the next one, to
Yeah.
make a stink or kick up a stink.
Stink. Now, this is these are active verbs, of course, to make a stink or to kick up a stink. And this means to strongly criticize or object to something. So I think there was a situation a few weeks ago, wasn't there, with Donald Trump when he accepted a gift of a very fancy plane.
Yeah, everything
And
it does stinks, to be honest.
everything, well, yeah, but it also kicked up quite a stink. It kicked up quite a stink because there were many, many people criticizing him in the newspapers, and it kicked up a stink, the whole affair. It started a lot of talk, a lot of debate. There was lots of criticism and objection.
Speaking of things that stink, Alejandro's got a nice expression with fishies. Fish stink if they've gone off. So if something is fishy, then it's also suspicious and not trustworthy. You don't trust it. There's something wrong. It's fishy.
That's right.
What else do we have? Oh yes, something smells fishy. Yeah, Alejandro knew that was coming. To smell a rat as well. You're not literally smelling a rat, but you're suspecting that something is not quite right. So
Right.
it's suspicious.
And rats normally are with all the decaying bad food, aren't they? Rats. So the idea is rats will be around something that is smelly. So we say to smell a rat, I smell a rat, which means that I suspect something's fishy, something's bad.
And you can also smell trouble. I mean, you wouldn't think that you could smell trouble. That's why it's an idiom. But if something doesn't seem right, or you suspect that something bad's going to happen in the near future, then you're smelling trouble. To suspect that a difficult or problematic situation is approaching. Yeah, I smell trouble. There's going to be trouble ahead.
And then the last one, I love this one, is to have, we use it with the verb to have a nose for something. Now, if someone has a nose for something, they have a very strong ability to detect or recognize something. So you can see it comes from really, you have a good sense of smell if you have a nose for something. But of course, we use it figuratively, metaphorically as well, to mean that you are very sharp and you detect things. You can see when things are corrupt, or you have good intuition if you have a nose for something. And it's often a good nose for something to uncover the truth and to uncover lies. That's to have a nose for it. So often many journalists have a good nose, or if you want to be a good journalist, you have to have a good nose, which means you have to know where to find the truth or the true story.
And also connected to the sense of sight, you can have an eye for something as well. Like
Yes, you
he's
can
got
have
an eye for good art,
something.
good photography.
Yeah. And also a good ear. You can have a good ear for music.
Yeah.
You can have a good eye which means you're
good
very
mouth.
perceptive. No, good mouth.
A good sense of taste.
A good nose. And you can have a good sense of taste. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Marcelo has brought another one in. Lovely. We forgot about that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep your nose clean. Keep your nose clean,
Behave
which means
yourself.
behave yourself. Be
Don't
good.
do anything I wouldn't do. Don't do anything
Uh-huh.
bad. Keep your
Don't do
nose clean.
anything. Keep your nose
Don't break
clean.
the law.
Uh-huh. That's right.
Nice one. Thank you,
That's a nice
Marcella.
one.
We didn't have that one. That's
No, we
good.
didn't. That was a great one. Right.
So let's finish up with a couple of questions. Just write in the chat if you have an opinion. Why is a sense of smell important? I mean, if I had to lose one of my five senses, I probably would choose to lose my sense of smell because I'd hate to be blind. I'd hate to be deaf. I'd hate not to be able to speak because that's how I earn my living. So, what do you think, Lynn? Or why is a sense of smell important? What
Well,
does
I
it
think
give
it's more
us?
important than we often think it is. Actually, it's quite strange, but both of my parents didn't have a sense of smell and they
Really?
couldn't smell. No. And it's funny, me and my sister, we can
Both of
smell,
them?
but both of them couldn't smell. And it's actually dangerous because my parents were incapable of smelling, for example, gas. So they never had gas in the house. They always insisted on having electric to cook with because it's very dangerous if you can't smell gas. And for example, they couldn't smell food when they couldn't smell milk when it was off. So they'd always have to ask us, have a smell, is that all right? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So they relied, but I mean, it's true that I mean, I think a sense of smell is very important, but obviously, I think maybe it's easier to compensate if you lose your sense of smell. You can compensate with other things. But of course, during COVID, many people with COVID, they lost their sense of smell. And I know some of my friends lost their sense of smell and they felt really sad about that. It really interfered with their day-to-day lives. I
Did it
don't know if any,
affect? Did it
if
affect their appreciation of food?
I think so, yes. I think they couldn't taste things as well, so they stopped enjoying food and they got a bit depressed about it, I think. So I think it is very connected with taste. And of course, we enjoy food, don't we? It's what gives us pleasure, isn't it? To have your bit of chocolate or your biscuit or, you know. So yeah, maybe it's more important than we think it is. I don't know. Uh-huh.
Ali says there's a similar proverb in Arabic about smelling a rat, which is to start the mouse playing in your armpit.
Oh, I love that. Isn't that
Excellent, Ali.
lovely? That
Fantastic.
really. So you
That's
say
the idiom
the
of the
mouse
week,
the mouse
Ali.
has started playing in my armpit.
I like it. That's fantastic.
Wow, that is a nice one. Yeah.
Carlos, I think, is answering a previous question. The smell of wet earth. We don't know if that's a good smell for you, Carlos, or a bad smell. Would you say that that's something you like or you dislike? And poor old Isaac, he he was in a coma for 2 days,
Oh,
and he
wow.
couldn't. He lost his sense of taste and smell.
Well, he says
Wow.
he can't. So does that mean you still can't taste and smell after that? So he didn't say he couldn't. He says he can't.
Oh,
So,
I just assumed it's in. Is that in the past or is that at the moment? So because the
uh,
past of can't is couldn't. You couldn't
no, but I
taste.
think the way I read it is that because of the 2 days coma, now he can't taste or smell,
Oh, right.
which is, you'll have to clear that up for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
that's right.
clarify
No, he
that,
just
Isaac?
has. He says he still
I
can't.
still can't. Wow.
Yeah. So you wrote it correctly, Isaac. You
Okay.
still can. Oh wow! So and has that affected you negatively? Or can you live without it? Do you think? I mean, obviously you can live without it, but does it really affect your day to day? Do you miss it a lot? Yeah, very
Very
desensitized. Yeah.
desensitized. It must be. Yeah.
Yeah. And Isaac has also said that memory is also tied to taste. And Javi has said, losing the sense of smell would restrain us from the pleasures of life. Yeah, I think you're right, Javi, there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Michaela said that
Uh,
she thinks it's connected with our ancestors' necessity to be alert.
Yeah.
so as not to become the victim of a wild animal. So you can
Yeah, that makes
smell
sense.
animals coming. You can, yeah. Good point, Michaela.
And then, of
Thanks.
course, there is also, isn't there? There are people who say that we smell on a level that we're actually not conscious about. So, for example, I think it's been proven that with our partners, you actually smell your partner. You're like the people that you find attracted to. Often the attraction is partially due to a smell that maybe you are not aware of. But I think that's been proven in science that people are attracted by certain smells, like the smells that we give off that we're not aware of. Uh-huh. And then we smell them. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because animals, by the male smelling the female, knows whether it's a good time to procreate and to create,
True.
to have sex and to have babies. So yeah, that's what we go on.
Yeah.
I think we've got one last question that we've just about got time for before we say goodbye. So some people are more sensitive to certain smells than others. Do you think this sensitivity can affect someone's quality of life or relationships? Actually, my wife is very sensitive to smells. In
Is she?
fact, yeah, in fact, there are some aftershaves or colognes that I've bought that she refuses to let me wear
Yeah.
because it really, really disturbs her,
Uh-huh.
and she just can't stand it. She just can't handle the smell. So some people, I mean, I find that very strange because I'm not overly sensitive to smells, but
No, me neither. Uh-huh.
I
But I
imagine
had a
some people are.
friend. I had a friend, and it reminds me of what Isaac has said with the coma. My friend wasn't in a coma, but she did have a little mini stroke, and after that,
A mini
she was in
stroke,
a mini stroke, like a very
embolism.
small. And after that, she was incredibly sensitive to sound and to smell. And it was quite unpleasant once because I went to her house and she couldn't stand the smell of my eternity perfume. So I couldn't be in the room with her. She sent me out to have a shower because she just couldn't stand it,
Yeah, yeah.
which I mean, I understand. I mean, but that is an extreme sensitivity, isn't it? That you can't actually tolerate the smell. And Isaac said before that he said he'll be okay, but it feels I'm more like disconnected from reality. Yeah. That probably links with what I think was it Michaela who said about the instinctive ancestors' necessity. So maybe smell with our other senses, it's what builds our sense of reality. So if you lose the smell and the taste, then obviously you're not perceiving reality in the way that you used to.
Yeah,
I don't think my
absolutely.
parents missed it because they never had a sense of smell. So I don't think they
From
ever missed
birth.
it from birth. They could never smell. So so maybe that's why they found each other. Maybe because they didn't smell each other. I don't know.
Could be. Who knows? Carlos said that he's allergic to smelling some lotions. To the smell
Oh,
of, sorry, to the smell of some lotions. Yeah. Some
yeah,
people are very sensitive to smells.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
It's good to use, yes, it is good to use perfume and deodorant every day to smell good. I agree, especially in this heat that we're experiencing at the moment.
I'll tell
Definitely.
you a little funny anecdote though, just a tiny quick one because I know we're out of time. But do you know I go swimming in the municipal swimming pool, and when you're swimming, obviously your head is underwater most of the time. Yeah, when I'm crawling, my head is underwater, my nose is underwater, but occasionally there are some, usually men, who are swimming in the lanes next to me,
And you
and
smell
they're
them.
not right next to me, but the smell of their cologne carries in the water to me. I don't know how it does that. I would have thought that the smell would have disappeared in the water, but
Diluted.
I can actually smell I don't know whether I'm smelling in the water or maybe in the moment when I'm inhaling new air. but the cologne smell seems to linger in the pool, you know. It's quite unpleasant, actually, because sometimes it's a bit overpowering.
Well, the answer's easy. You've just got to give yourself a good spray of eternity before you jump in
That's true.
and
Yeah.
get them back.
But that'd be a
Return the
waste of
favour.
money. Eternity's not cheap. So would I
True.
really waste it?
True.
Michaela's also said something really interesting. She said she was oversensitive to smells when she was pregnant to the point of having to
right.
leave a room to avoid throwing up.
Wow.
So in my opinion, this situation can interfere with your relationships.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Javi suggests that you wear a mask when you're swimming. Yeah.
Well, I do on my eyes, but not on my nose.
Not a
I'd have to
COVID
be
mask.
scuba diving.
Don't wear a COVID mask. That would just be silly, wouldn't it?
No, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for staying with us for the hour. Lynn, let them know where you're
Thank you.
from.
Oh, yes. So I'm from putitlikethis.com. That's my website. I'm an online teacher. If you would like to find your own voice in English and have a course that is made specially for you to help you achieve your own objectives, that's the place to look. So go to putitlikethis.com and you can contact me, and then I'll see what I can do for you.
But you're having a break during the summer, so
Yes, in
probably,
August.
yeah,
In August.
not before September. Yeah.
No, well, you can still contact me now. That's not a problem. I've still got
course.
some students starting this month and other ones starting in September
We've
again.
got the whole month of July before our summer break.
We do indeed. We do indeed.
And same for me. I'll be taking a break in August, but I will be around to be contacted in July. My name's Craig. I'm from mansioningles.com, which is a website to help Spanish speakers improve their English. And every week we have a podcast at inglespodcast.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And although I've already started my conversation courses for July, if you're interested in improving your speaking and you'd like to get on Zoom with me and a small group of lovely people like Michaela, who was in the chat today, then by all means, come over to the website, book a short consultation, absolutely free, no obligation, and I'll give you all the details about the speaking courses, and I will let you know what level you have and which course is best for you. So englishcraig.com. Thank you for keeping us company. We've enjoyed talking about the 5 senses. That was the last one.
That was the last one.
Yeah, we promise. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back. Shall we tell them what we've got planned for the next one? Or
I think I've just realised, though, that the 31st is also a Thursday. I don't know whether the next one will be our last one or the...
I think it will be, because I won't be.
The next one
I won't be available
around.
for the last one.
So in 2 weeks' time, it's our last one before the holidays. And we thought it would be a good idea to talk about holidays and the way past holidays have surprised us
For the good and the
positively
bad.
and negatively. So we're going to be talking, before we go on holiday, we'll be talking about our past holidays and the pleasant things and the pleasant surprises we've had on past holidays, and the not so pleasant surprises we've had on past holidays. So get thinking of your anecdotes, and then you can join us and you can share them with us as well.
We would love you to join us and share your stories and anecdotes, and maybe jump on with us and speak live with us on the stream. So
yes, please.
That will be in 2 weeks. Put it in your diary, and thank you for keeping us company today.
Thank you, and for all your contributions to today.
Exactly.
Lots of contributions. Perfect.
Have a good weekend, everyone. Take care.
All right then. Bye-bye.
Bye.